Welcome to the CARAHCAST Data Center Innovation Series, where we dive into the trends and issues shaping the future of data centers in the public sector. I'm your host, CARAHCAST Consulting CTO Scott Robon. The focus of today's episode is on innovation in data center computing. The hunger for compute, especially with the rise of AI, is driving all sorts of new technology and new delivery models in the data center arena. To help us unpack all this, we're thrilled to have Robin Braun, VP of AI Business Development and Hybrid Cloud at HPE, to talk about what she's seeing in compute innovation, consumption, and delivery across the industry. So let's dive in. Robin, welcome. It's great to have you here. Can you give listeners a brief intro of yourself, your history in the data center market, and your role today?
Thanks, Scott. Really appreciate yourself and the Carasoft team to have me join the podcast today. And when you look at the data center market or being in high tech or now AI, it really has been an evolution. So I've now been at HPE for several months, focusing on AI business development with our hybrid cloud team. Before that, I was actually working with a federally focused reseller for the past year as their VP of AI and data strategy, really leaning into my passion to, kind of help the government solve their mission through kind of innovative technologies. Before that, I'd actually worked with several AI ISVs in kind of their go-to-market, how to kind of connect to that end customer, helped take one to acquisition, stayed with the Akarian company for a year. And before that, I was actually at another OEM, and which is where I started working with AI and NVIDIA. But that was where I felt that transition from how do I help people store data? How do I help them, uh, uh, back up their data, all of those sort of things you do with data, to how do we actually help them use the data? And that's where I found in my conversations with CIOs and COOs and CXOs that it really became much more about how do we start to use and unlock the wealth of knowledge that's in that data versus just kind of maintaining it.
No doubt. And, I had the privilege of going and listening to some of your previous podcasts since we last spoke, just to get a feel of, your journey. And yeah, you've touched on so many important pieces of the migration to AI. Before we zoom right there, let's start out just by touching on, what's happened with computing CPUs and GPUs, just real briefly over the last few years. Gone are the days of 286, 386, 486. Now Intel chips are named, AMD has come to the market, and now we have these things called GPUs that are no longer just for graphics. What's your snapshot on how that's accelerated over the last 5 years?
The pace of innovation is incredibly hard to keep up with.